We just got through answering quite a few questions to help the superintendent, Ms. Martinez, out in how dolphins communicate with one another. So we found out that dolphins whistle to one another. They also make a clicking sound underwater. And we also found out that sound waves and sound energy travels underwater, which allows the mother dolphin to communicate with her calf. So we found out all that information. We learned something new there. Now we need to go ahead and think about a new big question. So, a big question for this chapter, which is actually going to be just a few lessons, but we want to start thinking about how can humans use waves and patterns to communicate. So we know sound waves also work for humans. In order for you to hear me, there has to be a sound wave and particles moving throughout the air and things moving through the computer system so that you can hear me. And we also use patterns to communicate. Sometimes these patterns we see them every day, but we don't realize that they're actually patterns. So we're going to sort of get into that, like what do those patterns look like? How do we use waves to communicate with one another? I'm sure just using this image and off the top of your head, you could think of a lot of different ways that we communicate with each other. In today's lesson, we're going to be introduced to some old-fashioned ways that we communicated before a lot of technology came out, um, and learn that way. Which is what there are some sort of interesting things that they used back in the day to communicate, which I hope you guys find interesting as well. Before we get into the text and get into the full-on lesson, I want to just get your mind thinking about some images and some messages that we send each day. So I want you to pause and think. If someone were to send you this emoji in a text message, what message would they be sending you? Go ahead and take 5 seconds to just quickly think about that. So I know when someone sends me that message, if they're sending me that message just as an initial conversation, they're either telling me to be happy or they're telling me that they're happy about something. But if they're responding to a message that I sent, I could imagine that they're responding by saying that I sent them a cool message, I sent them a happy message, my message made them happy and made them smile. However, I know that when I see this emoji, I know that it's not someone telling me that they're sad. It's not someone telling me that they're angry, because the message here is a smiley face, and we know that smiley faces represent happiness and joy. So this is a message again that we see often, and it is a way that we communicate. Here's another way that we communicate through an image. So when you see this image, what message is being sent? I want you to take another 5 seconds to think about it. So this is a very common image. It is a very common way for us to communicate when we need to stop at a location. So if we're at a corner and you're driving or your parents are driving, and they see this sign, we know to stop at this sign. We know that this is a stop sign, and we know that the stop sign helps us be safe. And so we communicate through signs as well as now through emojis. And so we're going to get into our lesson to see what other ways we communicate outside of using images and outside of using signs.